our final speech, we have Sharon Friedman. At the last TGIF meeting, Connie challenged us to be vulnerable. Sharon had a speech in mind, but it was very personal and was shying away from giving it. Connie's challenge inspired Sharon to rise to the call. Sharon will be vulnerable and share her experience she had from her participation at her first silent retreat. Each day she woke up at 5:30 to begin the first seated meditation of the day, followed by a chanting session, another seated meditation, a walking meditation, then seated meditation, until a break for a meal, to come back to this pattern that was repeated until 9:30 bedtime for all 4 days. In 6 to 8 minute non-manual speech, Sharon will share a very personal experience that she's still processing. Please join me in welcoming Sharon, giving her speech titled, Silent Retreats Are Not So Silent.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. It's quiet. And I'm sitting in this dark, quiet room with 30 other people, waiting for the instructor to come in to ring the bell to begin the silent retreat. The bell rings, I close my eyes, and I begin to meditate. Breathe in, breathe out. Watch your breath come in, watch your breath come out. What I felt like was a really long time. I came out of my meditation and looked over at my watch and went, it's only been 10 minutes. I've got 20 more minutes to go. And I look around at all the different people, all my participants, and they seem so blissfully relaxed and meditating. And that's when it hits me. I've got 4 more days of this. What was I thinking? I came with 2 other women, one from New York and one from Boston, and we came together to sit in silence. And these 2 women were pretty experienced meditators. I still call myself a novice. And I thought, what? Okay, all right, fine. Go back to meditating, which was really hard. And then finally the bell rang. Oh, good, we get to do walking meditation. And this is what I found out about walking meditation. You start here and you walk. And you stop, and you turn around, and you walk again. And for the next 30 minutes, you watch yourself walk. And you focus on your walking. And when your mind goes to watching other people walk or thinking about when is this going to ever end, you go back to watching yourself walk. The focus is on the walking. And when I finally sat, I was so happy to sit down again. Oh my gosh. And I thought, well, that was fun. Oh my God, no, thank you. I'll sit, thank you. And we go back to sitting. And this was the pattern for the next 3 hours. Finally, I know how, when the bell rang for the afternoon break, I know how my very ADD middle school kids feel when I tell them they are done. It was like, yay! And I get up and I go around and, you get 2 hours for lunch and your own personal time. And then we came back to sit again. And I began to sit, the bell rings, we go into a meditation, but this time we were introduced to another meditation. And this is called, the meditation is Hikbadadut. That was a Jewish retreat meditation. And in Hebrew that means accounting. And this time we were asked to go outside, and it was a gorgeous weekend. And it was gorgeous grounds to find a place by ourselves and literally talk to God out loud. And for the next 30 minutes, just go out and yell or scream or be thankful or whatever you had on your mind, and you just talk to God for 30 minutes. It was amazing. And when I sat down the next time, I felt very calm. My mind was more relaxed. My mind was more open. And I found that meditating was so much easier. And I decided from then on, I was not going to do the walking meditation, but I would do the Hikbadadut. And so for the next 2 days, as it went, it got easier and easier and easier, and I really started to get into the stream, the flow. It takes they say it takes about 4 days, and it really does take about 4 days to get the chatter out of your head, because silent retreats, I found out, were not so silent. It was very noisy in here. Even though we were not allowed or asked to speak and communicate in any verbal or nonverbal way, so you couldn't make eye contact and go, how are you doing? In fact, a lot of people would just look down when you came up to somebody and you were looking at them. They would automatically look down so you wouldn't be in their face. And that was an experience in itself, is having people like look away from you and know it's not you, but it was just what it was. And so we come to the final day of the final afternoon of the retreat, and the instructor does a 3-part meditation. And so I was in the flow now, and it was really easy to sit and meditate. And the first meditation, as we sat down, was that there were visualizations, and they were for caregivers. Caregivers are very good at giving love and acceptance. We're not really good at taking it in. In fact, we feel very guilty and very unworthy of accepting it. So these meditations were meant to help us practice receiving. And so the first one started with, we closed our eyes and she asked us to bring us to a moment, just a moment in time, where you felt that you received love, unconditional love. So I closed my eyes and my mom came to me. And it was right before she passed away. She was in the hospital. She had a very large tumor and she was very much in pain. She couldn't speak, she couldn't eat. And I wanted to help her and to feel better, so I put my hand on where her tumor was, and I was sending her Reiki and love and healing, and she put her hand on mine. And in that one moment, what passed between us was unconditional love. She was telling me that she loved me, and she accepted me, and she was proud of me. And at the time, being the caregiver that I was, I felt it, but I went, I pushed away and kept giving her love. But in that moment of my meditation, I sat and soaked in that amazing moment. And the bell rang, and my mom disappeared, but that love that she gave me was still I was enveloped in it. It was wonderful. We left to do our walking meditation, came back to sit again for the second time. And this time she then again asked us to bring in a moment that a person or a place or a thing, it didn't have to be, it could be just be sitting in a space where you felt unconditional love. And I closed my eyes again, and my grandson came to me. And I spent a lot of time with him, and I love seeing his face and his smile, but this time I let that moment in, that when he looks at me, he is sending me his unconditional love. And I sat in that moment just taking in and accepting his unconditional love. And again the bell rang, and he disappeared. But his love was still just radiating around me, and I went out and walked again. And the third time we sat down. And she asked us this time to allow someone who really loves you to come in and sit with you and be present with it. So I sat down, and I waited for that person to come. And Sharon showed up. And I can't explain what I mean, but I knew, it wasn't me physically, but I knew that that person sitting next in front of me was Sharon. And the first thing I did was, no, that is so wrong. And I just pushed her away, and I closed my eyes waiting for someone else to come. And there she was again. And this time I was really getting frustrated and angry. I mean, I just like, no, that can't be right. And I closed my eyes once more, just really blocking her out. And there she came again. And this time I went, fine. Have it your way. So I sat back and just let her be there. I wasn't going to take it in. And the more she sat there, the more she came into me. And the more she sat with me, and the more she sat with me, the more I felt comfortable in my skin. And then this amazing feeling of peace and tranquility came upon me. And I was so comfortable with myself. I felt myself loving myself, and it just changed me. And when the bell rang, I was not the same person I was before the bell rang. And I never would be the same again, and there's many stories to tell about how that's affected my life, but I'm still processing. And as I went home from the 4 days, I was thinking, as I was coming home the plane, that how lucky I was, how amazing an experience I had. And I wish it for every single one of the world, of everybody, that everybody could sit with themselves and find love within themselves, that the world would be such an amazing place. And so I put it out to you that there are places around here, you don't have to go too far, for one-day retreat or a 5-day retreat or even weeks, to give yourself that moment of peace and silence without electronics, without any kind of thing to do, but be with yourself, because the silence is so filled with words and yourself. It's beautiful. So thank you.